Kay? I repeated, dumbfounded. What does she have to do with any of this? My mother's eyes lit up, and I knew I wasn't going to like what came next. Well, we ran into her mother at the grocery store last week. Kay's back in town, divorced. She asked about you, said she regrets how things ended between you two. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My family had orchestrated this whole reconciliation dinner as a setup to pressure me into divorcing my wife for someone they preferred, someone who had hurt me deeply in the past. I looked at my wife, seeing the pain and disbelief in her eyes. She'd been quiet this whole time, but I could feel her trembling beside me. That's when something inside me snapped. I stood up abruptly, my voice shaking with anger. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. My wife is the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's kind, loving, and has stood by me through everything, and this is how you repay her? By ambushing us and trying to destroy our marriage? My father stood up too, his face flushing red. Now listen here, boy. We're your family. We know what's best for you. This girl, he gestured dismissively at my wife. She's not one of us. She never will be. Kay, on the other hand. Kay cheated on me, I shouted, cutting him off. Or did you conveniently forget that part? She broke my heart, and you want me to go back to her? To throw away my marriage for someone who couldn't even be faithful when we were teenagers? The room fell silent, the tension palpable. My wife stood up beside me, her voice quiet but firm. I think we should go. I nodded, taking her hand. As we turned to leave, my mother called out, her voice pleading. Please just think about what we've said. We're only trying to help. I paused at the door, looking back at the family I thought I knew. If this is your idea of help, then I don't want it. Don't contact us again until you're ready to apologize and accept my wife as part of this family. With that, we walked out, leaving behind a chorus of protests and pleas. As we got into our car, I could see my wife was fighting back tears. I reached over, pulling her into a tight hug. I'm so sorry, I whispered. My own voice choked with emotion. I had no idea they would do something like this. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. It's not your fault. But what do we do now? I started the car, my mind racing. Now, we go home, and then we figure out how to move forward, together. The drive home was quiet, both of us lost in our thoughts. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. These were the people who raised me, who I thought had my best interests at heart. How could they do this? As we walked into our apartment, my wife finally broke down. Sobs racked her body as she collapsed onto our couch. I sat beside her, holding her close, feeling utterly helpless. They hate me, she cried. They've always hated me, and I never knew why. What did I do wrong? My heart broke hearing those words. You didn't do anything wrong, I assured her. This is all on them.